yeah, go get me a flower, and she just
Yeah, and
takes
it's
off
like, oh,
running.
it just, oh my gosh,
What?
they they donkeyed her
What?
in Shrek when Princess Fiona is like, donkey, go fetch me. Blue was it blue flower, red thorns, right? Blue flower, red thorns, blue flower, red. Oh my gosh, they totally
She could have
did.
been colorblind in that moment. That would have.
Oh
They could have done that.
no.
They could have
Oh
done
no.
that. And she's just like.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Bad Batch Season 3. This is Episode 9, Review and Reaction with Kyle.
And Dom.
Let's jump in. We're back. What are your thoughts this week?
I really liked this episode.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was probably the most enjoyable episode for me.
Yeah, it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of funny dialogue in this one.
Yeah.
My favorite part, and it's probably yours too, I think everybody got a big chuckle out of it, but like
Yeah, I mean, the whole episode had sass, it had adventure, it had suspense, and it moved the story forward, which is what I'm looking for when I'm watching series or movies. So, I like
so since this was your first introduction to Asajj Ventress, who what did you think? I mean, what was your first? I know they go over kind of who she is here and there, but first take, what did you think of the character?
I didn't really have room to judge because I'm a little rough around the edges. So that's at first I was like, ooh, but then I'm like, oh, okay. She just misunderstood a little bit. It's okay. Um, yeah, that's really what I thought. Probably could have introduced herself a little bit better. She didn't really
Yeah.
have, manners. Probably could use a little work, but other than that, maybe some communication skills that could have
Yeah.
helped a little bit. What did you
If I
think?
could have one rewrite for this
Hmm.
episode, it is make the fight happen immediately with her. I
Yeah.
would have loved to have it been a little bit more tense, like she's taking Omega, and then have them just roll in, recognize her immediately, because she was a big part of the beginning of the Clone Wars.
How did you feel about the protective nature of the group as Omega's out there trying to learn? She's like, I've got this. You can trust her. Relax.
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, the biggest breakthrough that was interesting, you had Crosshair being like, we can't trust her, and then she's like, well, remember when nobody trusted you, and then we look at you,
Like one
and he
episode
was
ago.
like, oh. He just had that look of like, shit, okay. So yeah, I mean, it's playful. But yeah, I can't get over that Wrecker looking through the binoculars and his
Ah!
face just. That moment took me back to what was it? The third episode, whenever they broke out. I think maybe the fourth episode, and the stormtrooper gets thrown. It's like that
Oh,
was that
yeah.
little like comedic. That was good.
I thought you were going to say it reminds you of us. Sometimes we'll be out in the wild and looking at each other and just make a face out. So you mentioned you wished the fight scene happened more towards the beginning
Hold
of
on.
the
I got a
episode.
pabu fruit on my head. Hold on. I'm doing the thing. Definitely called on a lot of different um, tropes throughout the Jedi learning curve, and especially like being on the slippery rock. Like we see that
Ah, yeah.
with Rey in the newer sequels. Luke obviously is having rocks on his head, and one of the interesting things too that I thought, and you haven't seen this part of the Mandalorian yet, but there's a scene that's very reminiscent to a decision that Grogu and Din Djarin have to make about learning the Force, and I thought they did a very good job. Seeing as Dave having a hand in both arenas, they did a very good job with this one of just throwing the facts at him and being like, "Well, are you gonna let her go?
Mm.
Is she gonna you gonna let her train with somebody else?" And it was a quick, hell no. And that realization was running through their heads. And so it'll be interesting. Like, is this it? Is that like, no, they've made the decision? No, she thinks she's not. We're just gonna like, let that play out, or is this the end of Asajj in this series? Is she getting her own series? I don't know, but I'm interested in it.
There were a lot of cliches in this episode, and I did note them as I was watching it, but I didn't mind it. And I don't really know why. Maybe it's because the humor and the jokes were original. There was bits of originality. I just can't really tell you what they were, but it was a more fresh take on the cliches that were happening. But each time a cliche did happen, I was like, okay, noted. Okay, whatever. So there's a boat
They've
rescue.
proven my point that you don't need a boat in Star Wars. I mean, literally, like, let's go to the Marauder. Why take the boat? I get it. Go where no one is. They could have just flown there. She could have stood on the edge.
And then they just abandoned the little dinghy they were
No,
on.
and then Omega's, she like stops her sentence short. She's like, maybe we shouldn't be out here. And Asajj is like, nah, don't worry about it. And she's like, well, they got some big
No,
turtles.
even
I like turtles.
so Megan's like, did you mean to summon that? And Asajj is like, not intentionally. Girl, what do you mean you're out there wielding the force and you don't even know how to
If
use
you
it
put your hand out
properly?
and you
Like,
do this, something's gonna happen.
anyway,
They did
you're
do it.
trying to train somebody and you're not even a professional. That's just
But with her, she was a Padawan, and then she left the Jedi Order, and she became an assassin, and then she was a secret Sith apprentice with Count Dooku, and so
all I'm hearing is she had some
she's
good
learned a
folks
lot.
train. Yeah, but not enough.
She's learned a lot, a little bit of things. She's also a Dathomiri. You remember from Ahsoka, the witches? She's also one of those.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, she is one of those. So, who knows where this is gonna go? It can go a lot of different ways. Asajj is alive. What does that mean? Is she alive in future content? I
I would
guess at this
watch it.
point, yeah.
I would watch any future content. I really liked her as a character, and I don't know if I should, but
No, I mean
so far.
she has a very fruitful history with Star Wars in the animated world because the very first 2D animation, that's where she made her debut, and she just looks like a freak in the animation, like the way they made her look, and
Oh, this one?
yeah, and like no,
Bad
in the
Batch?
previous,
Oh,
no,
okay.
in 2D, because she's like zipping around and she's like knocking off heads of clone troopers, and then when the 3D and Dave took over the realm, she was in the very beginning of it too, and it was fun.
So, what are your final thoughts?
I was worried that there was fewer episodes left, but there's more, so
Oh,
I'm not as I'm not as worried as I was. I mean, this is a good episode, but I'm
mhm.
thinking, where have we gone? And I have to compare it to the first two episodes being, I mean, the best that they've done,
Mhm.
and how we have ventured away from that feeling. Where's Hemlock? Like, I'm missing that. I think if we had just had maybe even a shorter season with those type of episodes, it would have been more impactful. I mean, the next several could be amazing. So I don't want to get too far ahead. But if that is the case, well, why couldn't the whole thing have been like that?
This episode made me feel replenished. Like I wanted to keep going now because it was dragging a little bit the last couple of episodes for me. So this episode came at the right time to make me want to keep watching and retain my investment, I guess is the
Yeah.
best way to put it.
Watching it, I had this moment when she's force choking Wrecker in the air,
Mm-hmm.
and she's got her lightsaber on Hunter, and I felt like Anakin Skywalker.
Now this is pod racing.
No, this is pod racing. Like, that's what I felt like. I was like, oh yeah, like we're back. We're back. And,
Yeah.
the boys are back, and we're back in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's felt like it wasn't, but
I would, no, I agree with you. Even the camera angles, they were more
yeah,
circular, so it felt like a movie more than a show during that scene.
yeah.
So, mm.
Yeah, no, I mean that makes you appreciate the original tropes that we see throughout the entire universe, and I appreciate that. So it's cool. I mean, it felt like Ahsoka coming back. You know, it's this the former Jedi, the former peacekeepers of the world that have, you know, gone astray, and now they're back and they're meddling with everything, and I love it. So hopefully we see Asajj come back in the future. At this point, give me more animated series. It's so easy to watch, quick to make. They can just pump out seasons, and so while we're waiting for the Dave Filoni movie and the Mandalorian movie to come out, give us Asajj, give us Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Sith. You know, let's make it happen.